Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Um, I apologize for being a few minutes late. Believe it or not, um, trying to find, there it is. Believe it or not, the program, the simulator, actually takes, at this point, about 5 minutes to actually load in. Here we are at Portland International Jetport. And for those of you really keeping track, you may see here that I have changed our plane a little bit to a C-208. The Cessna C-208 is a plane that I am used to flying like crazy all over the place, since it's the plane I use for Cape Air virtual flights. But in this case, I changed over to it for one reason and one reason only. It has its wings here on the top of the plane, so it has superior looking down towards the good stuff on the ground angles. So we'll see exactly how this works out. All right. So with that being done, let's get back into the cockpit. You'll see a little bit different stuff here for our C208. And the most interesting thing is that you actually have to turn on the fuel. We have fuel, but we have to turn it on. And if we don't, the propeller will actually not turn. All right, we bring our pitch angle to a little bit. We hit our flaps, and now we turn on our battery, like so. Fuel pump, alternator, starter engine, ignition. There we go. There's our propeller. Thank you, Cozy. All right, there's our propeller. And now let's turn on the avionics. There we go. Let's set our altimeter correctly. There we go. While we're waiting for that to come up, I'm just going to mention that we are up and running on some other platforms. There we go. All right. Let me bring myself back here. There we go. Okay. Now with that being done, let's actually, I got in here so quickly that I haven't even been able to log on to DevatSim. And while we're waiting for that to come up, let's bring up all of our lights. There we go. There's all of our lights. Make sure we get into that sim correctly with the correct plane type. Set in mode C. And bring up our flight plan. Existing flight plan found. Good, good, good. Yes, that's what we want. So let's file a flight plan, and there we have it. All right, at this point, the only person online is DC, so we'll continue doing what we're doing here. Let's take a look at what the Portland common traffic frequency is, 120.9. So let's put that in here. There we go. And flip it over. And now we are on the correct frequency that way. The rest of this, to a very large extent, is going to be proper VFR. So with that, let's figure out which airport, which runway we're moving off from. The winds are coming in from the south, so we're going to have checking here. Yeah, we're gonna have our runway right here. So, given that, Portland traffic, November 143 Charlie Alpha, taxiing to runway 18. All right. Our altitude, once we get things going here, there we go. It's going to be 4,500, which sounds high, but remember we're going to be going through mountains, or as close to mountains as the east of the United States ever gets. And we're also basically going westward, so we'll set our blue heading reticle, basically westward. And there we go. All right. With all of that being done, let's kill our parking brake and start forward. There we go. You'll notice our map a little bit changed over this time. It actually moves with us. That's just an issue with this particular flight management system. Just different, not a problem. There we are. And you can see us moving nicely down the runway. Or actually down the taxiway, excuse me, that would be bad. Portland traffic, November 143 Charlie Alpha, taking off runway 18. Okay, we actually didn't have a chance to see this before. I think we'll see it now as we come on to the runway. There we go. Let's move up here. There we go. Now, what you're going to see here is that I am taking off of runway 18. Well, what is runway 18? All runways are labeled with their number. Where do they get the numbers from? It is the direction in which they are going. So we are going, take a look at this, our magnetic compass, very near south. This runway is 180 degrees, going in the 180th degree direction. That's how the runways are actually named. All right, we have our flaps set. We've got our ailerons set, and we have clearance for takeoff. Let's go. And we're off. This really is, so far, my favorite plane in the universe. It is so stable that when flying it, 90% of the time I don't even use the autopilot. All right, let's kill our flaps. That will nose us down a bit. Let's bring up the joystick in order to make sure we keep moving upward and not downward. All right, given that, let's put on our autopilot, put on reverses, and let's make sure we're going up. There we go. All right. So now we're headed up. We're at 1,200 feet, and we're headed up at about 600 feet a minute, which is fine. Let's just make a manual turn to the west. There we go. Oh. All right. And let's put on heading with the autopilot. so it can take over. And with that, we are now headed westward in what will take us over the White Mountains, actually. Now, with that being done, we're not going to need that anymore. Okay. Let's bring our range out for our map. So it looks like we don't really want to head westward per se, but we actually want to head maybe a little bit more 310, 320. So let's move our heading appropriately. There we go. Let's go right over those. You can see, of course, green is lowlands, yellow is more high. Then you get the orange, which is the highest. So now, how much danger are we going to be in here? No, we're not. I'm not that dumb. The FAA charts show you in squares what the highest altitude is for particular areas that you're going to be flying through. And the highest altitude of these mountains are 4,300 feet above sea level. And we are going to top off at 4,500 feet. So we're going to be going over these mountains pretty low, and that's probably going to give us some pretty nice views. All right, let's take these taxi lights off. We don't need them for flying in the air. All right, let's take a look. This is what I meant when I said that the C-208 Cessna, by the way, the C-208 Cessna, here's the back of our Cessna here. We use it at Cape Air Virtual, and Cape Air itself in the real world uses this plane for small passenger trips. We can fit about 8 people in here, including luggage and cargo. But one of the VPs of Cessna wonderfully described the C-208 as I'm going to forget the noun, the SUV of airplanes. And I've always loved that particular description. It's amazing what you can do to outfit, actually, an airplane. The C-208s are used by actually some military organizations, government military organizations in some countries. They fit them with missiles, and so this can be a missile plane if you really want it to be. And apparently it actually works enough that some governments will continue to use them like that. I, however, will not. Alright, let's bring this range down. There we go. This is the lake we're seeing right out here. And taking a look at the FAA chart, that is Sebago Lake. And as I promised, we have VFR conditions, but this time we have some clouds, and that's not a bad thing. And we have topped to our cruising altitude of 4,500 feet. Oh, Cozy, you can hear me now. Rats, was there a time when you couldn't hear me? Ah, well. We also have two viewers here. One I know is Cozy. Don't quite know who the other one is. Could be me. Could be me. I don't think so, though. Well, we'll see. So I'll try to keep a handle on where we're off to here. What I think I'm going to try to do, again, our goal here is to actually nicely go over the mountains. But we may see if we can take a look at Lebanon Airport from the air as well, which is just a little bit south of where we want to go. But basically, it is in line with our journey today. So we'll go up here, and then we'll travel a little bit more westerly. But you can see that these are hills that are coming up at us. It's actually pretty funny. You're so used to flying, getting altitude. I had a point where I was flying over these white hills a couple months ago, and I had to increase my altitude. I'm really not used to flying at any sort of high altitude at all, honestly, which will make things very interesting once we hit the Rocky Mountains, believe me. But it was just odd having the ground come up to meet you. You're flying at a nice, whatever altitude, and all of a sudden you realize that the ground is coming up to meet you, and if you're not careful, it will smack you in the butt. Which is probably not something you want to have done in a plane. Alright, again, we have a range of 15 nautical miles here. Here's our plane, and this is 15 nautical mile range. Now these things here, Kezer, Limmer, LA, Label, Serpa, what the heck are these things? These are waypoints. They're not anything physical. They're not anything on the ground. They can be, they don't have to be. They are agreed upon waypoints for the International Aeronautical Organization, and they are used as waypoints in IFR flight, or just waypoints if you're doing navigation. So you take off from an airport and say, I'm going to fly 370 degrees to label, then change 40 degrees to the left and fly to AppGuy. And these are all agreed upon waypoints, so that the software that is in these flight computers are programmed with those waypoints. I think we're going to go right over here into these mountains right here. And you'll notice things are getting hilly. Mountains just don't come up straight out of the ground unless you need some good scenery for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They come up somewhat gradually. Alright, let's see where we are. Now the 53NH here, that's actually an airport, as is the 81B here. Now those are weird airports, but the issue there is that those are small, tiny airports. An airport does not have to be large in any way, shape, and form. It can be just an asphalt strip on the ground, and that's it. And it doesn't have to be all that long either. And that's in the United States. More often than not, small airports in England, for example, are just grass strips, just a strip of grass. there are times when you don't really get a sense of how fast you're flying over something until you actually are looking down at it like this. Ah, Cara, wonderful to see you. Oh, yeah, well, hello? Hello, Cara. Wonderful to have you here. Oh, there we go. Here's a interesting little cloud formation. Cozy just told me to pay attention to chat more. There we go. Let's take a look at where we are. And we're really coming up onto these mountains at this point in time. So we actually have to be just a bit careful. Oh my. Okay. Cara, I'm rather hoping that this remains peaceful. I really don't want to be flown out of the sky by mechs over New Hampshire. That would just be bad. Now, having said that, I also don't want to crash into mountains here either. So, we're actually going to bring ourselves up a bit to 5,000 feet. Wonderfully, because we're VFR, we can do that without having to really ask anyone. And now we're gonna see how, oh, we could be hit by lightning, Kara. We could be hit by lightning. Now, interestingly enough, under VFR conditions, I'm really not supposed to be flying in clouds like this. But now we're going to see exactly how accurate the FAA flying charts are, because they're the top area, the top altitude of these mountains is, I think, 4,300 feet. But if we're in the depths of clouds, I wasn't going to trust that. And now I guess you guys can see exactly how far I trust the government. There we go. Yeah, I might not even request tower for that. I would just turn. Interestingly enough, believe it or not, there is forgetting the verb. There is a hierarchy of things. That three things in a hierarchy that you do while flying. I don't know what the second one is. I don't remember the second one. But the first thing in your hierarchy is fly your plane. The third thing in the hierarchy is talk to the tower. And that's not a bad thing. Yeah, not crashing. That's probably numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, this is amazing. These clouds are coming right onto these hills. Oh, we're right in the middle. We're right in the middle here. Let's take a look at our map. Let's bring this out. KCDA. Let's see where this is. No, not quite sure. Let's see what's happening out here. There's still ground here. You can still see ground. That's a good thing. And as you go, oh, that's impressive. All right. Are we on the other side of these mountains yet? Just a bit. That actually was pretty impressive. And I think, I don't know it for a fact, but I think that once we're over these mountains, we'll start to get less clouds. Our final destination today, Cozy, is if I can remember correctly. Let's take a look at the chart. There we go. Final destination is Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport, which is just north of Glens Falls and Hudson Falls, which is just northeast of Albany, and it's just on the south end of Lake George. So what we're going to be doing once we get through New Hampshire and Vermont is take a look at Ticonderoga. I'm rather hoping to find the fort, believe it or not, and then fly down the length of Lake George and land in that particular airport. Assuming, of course, we can trust the FAA charts and we're not going to crash. That looks ominous right there. This is just ominous. And there we go. We're about coming out of the clouds. There we go. Alright, let's see if I can figure out where we are. Really flying right towards KCDA. And KCDA turns out to be the Caledonia County Airport. We're a good bit north of where I was expecting we were going to be, and that's not a bad thing. But I also don't want to really fly as north as Burlington, unless I get a cry for flying over Burlington. Yes, Cora, I have flown down the Hudson River. I've crossed the Hudson River much more than I've flown down it. But yes, I have not been around New York City yet. Haven't quite gotten around there. All right, folks, we're going to move our heading reticule to straight west and see where we go from there. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that was worth it just to get out of the cloud bank. That was worth it just to get out of the cloud bank. All right, and that means that we are out of the white mountains to a large degree, so we can set things back to 4,500. There we go. We should be on Simware, Kosi. Yes, you may. There shouldn't be a lot of planes in the air at this point, but you should be able to search for us if you need to under N143CA, N143CA. And yeah, we're there. And if you actually click on that plane, you'll see you get a tail as to where we have gone, and you'll see that it highlights both PWM Portland on the East Coast and GPL, KGPL at the end of Lake George, which is where our destination is. Oh, there's Burlington right there. I think we're going to fly over Crute. Now we'll change our heading. You can see this moving right here, so you can see where our heading is changing towards. And fly there. Oh, maybe. Maybe, Cozy. Yeah, you were the one that found that out. You know, how do they figure out who's online and when, and you were the one that figured that out. Oh, there we go. That looks nice. It really is, believe it or not, because I can tell you this both on the simulator and in real life. It's not easy to know what things you're flying over. It really helps to be familiar with the geography. I mean, you can take a look at, you know, big areas like this and realize, okay, there's Burlington Airport. Okay, that's fine. This is that big river that runs down the border between Vermont and New York. Um, but it's actually pretty difficult, even with FAA charts and the whole bit, to take a look at this and say, oh, that's whatever that town is. But that's the essence of flying VFR. When pilots do that to a large extent, and I will, semi-cheat, if you can call it that, by using the GPS and the maps here with the flight with the flight dynamics area. On smaller planes, the ubiquitous Cessna 152s, for example, you don't have anything like this. You just have analog dials, and they're perfectly able to fly the plane with analog dials. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and you have thousands of people still doing that on a daily basis all over the world. But their ways of actually figuring out where they are in the air are a little bit more set on being able to figure out, oh, that's Route 147, or oh, that's Simpatico Road. Now, is that their only way of doing it? No, of course not. While they are analog dials on a Cessna 152, for example, and we are not using them right here, these are things that, not the GPS, but the LOC1 here, these are what are called VORs, and they can be set to specific radio frequencies, which are set to basically radio transmitters all over the country, all over the world, and you can set yourself to those particular frequencies to allow yourself to fly to any of those VORs. And between FAA maps and those, you can effectively navigate all over the country without knowing, quote unquote, exactly where you are. That's, however, flying with instruments. And I have a feeling, I don't know for a fact, but I have a feeling that most pilots sort of do a mix of the two, especially in modern planes that have instruments and displays like what we have here in the C208. And of course, I'm certain you realize that as the years have gone on, these types of displays are now the norm in even small planes. This is a Caravan. Yes, this is Cessna 208 Grand Caravan. And I completely appreciate the mod you're being, Cuzzy. It's funny, I'm mainly flying usually in the areas that we had our first leg going through, the coastal areas, and I've really found them very, very beautiful. I But here, in the hilly areas here have their own uh, have their own charm as well. Try to keep track of where we are. What I'm not wanting to do is hit the river area between the border of New York and Vermont. I want to make sure that we hit that area north of Ticonderoga. But I knew it was going to be certainly more cloudy than it was for our first leg. But this is very much the I think the kind of weather that you want to have. Your ability to fly below the clouds, see the ground, but also have the texture and the interest to the clouds above you. And it's at times like this that I look out here and I think, we really do have enough trees, don't we? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no. I'm going south of the airport. Cody, are you seeing an airport that we're going south of now? Um, Now, or are you talking about our ultimate destination? Um, I'll have to actually see. I actually have to see the diagram of the airport as we get closer to it. Mostly, it's not any sort of a hard fast rule. mostly runways are set southwest, southwest northwest, not straight east west or north south. Although there's some that are set that way. But what you'll find is that the runways are paved so that they run the prevailing wind directions that are most of the time going over that area of land. That's the whole point of paving the runways the way they are, to take advantage of the prevailing wind directions. There we go. That's nice. KBTV is the Burlington airport. I didn't hear a grand outcry, so we're actually going a good bit south of that, so we're not going to see that. So here we are here. This is 25 miles, so it's 25 miles between the plane here and this ring. That's your range. KBTV, the Burlington Airport, is over here, so we're about 50 miles away from it. Maybe 40. Boston? Yeah, Kara, Boston has a lot of green space. It certainly has more green space than I thought of when I first moved here. Honestly, when I moved here, I'm thinking, oh, Boston, complete concrete. And I have been amazed at how much green space that Boston actually has. East Boston, no, there's almost no green space here in Somerville. Somerville is just northwest on the Boston border, and was at one point in time the most populous city in the United States in the 1950s. More populous per square mile than New York City, believe it or not. Then, of course, New York City built those skyscrapers, and it was game over. But I've often been amazed at, you're driving over a road just west of Boston, not more than 20 miles west of Boston, and you're in what looks like forest. There we go. Nice lake there. All right, I think we're gonna start to I think we are headed very, very nicely to Ticonderoga. I actually managed to do that pretty good. Now, let me, okay, KGFL. Let's start pulling up information on our destination. So KGFL as an airport has two runways, running almost directly north-south, interestingly enough, and the other running west-northwest. And we're going to be probably landing on the north-south runway, runway 19. Interestingly enough, we left Portland using runway 18, and we're going to be landing at GFL on their runway 19. Ah, yes. Well, we can have turkeys here as well. In fact, the turkeys of Somerville, Cara, are famous and vicious. All right. Let's see where we are here. There's Crute. Okay. Let's see where Crute is. See if I can find that on the old chart here. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to come out a bit. So we're going to make a little bit of a change in heading. We're going to do a little bit northwest here. There we go. About 300 degrees. There we go. I think that'll take us over the last of our mountains, and then we'll start flying down the lake. I think we'll hit the last bit of Lake Champlain and then go down Lake George. Yeah, that should be Ticonderoga, about there. See if I can find 486 on the chart. Ah, perfect. 486, K486 is, this is Ticonderoga right here. All right, wonderful. So let's change our heading. There we go. Oh, I'll love to discuss that, Cozy. Because I don't know what Nightbot is. But I will. Oh, there we go. This worked out nicely. And this is what I mean by having the ground, come up and meet you. It's just so odd seeing that. Now that's interesting. That looks like a mine. looks like it's right there. But I think right over that is going to be the last portion of Lake Champlain. Depends on what distance. Oh, here. Okay. I'm gonna think of saying there. Lake Dunmore. This is Lake Dunmore, it looks like. Right there. And this is the, oh, this is not a mine. These are ski slopes. And we're flying over what is the Breadloaf Wilderness area. Sit up just a bit. The Breadloaf Wilderness area, and we are flying over the high point in this grid, which is 4,400 feet. And I'm just not going to trust that. Yeah, I'm not going to trust that. We're taking things a little bit away from the autopilot. All right. Wow. Yeah. Didn't quite trust the autopilot there. Either that or the FAA chart, one or the other. We popped ourselves up to 5,000 feet, and now we're coming back down to 4,500. Let's see what we've done to our heading. There we go. Want to make sure we don't miss it. All right, we are coming out of the, we're coming down the foothills of this little mountain range, and you can see, fields right here, and there's our river. There's our river right here. Let's see if I can find our airport. Ah, there's our airport. This is the one that we want. There we go. And we've come out of forested hills, and now we're set up on fields. So this is Middlebury right here. All right, I think we're gonna play dangerous, bring ourselves down to 3,500 feet, just for the better views. Also to stay out of these clouds up here. Cozy, it's our farm. While at this point in time, Kara, I'm seemingly concentrating on Flight Simulator. I can also, see myself, and it's sort of advertised in the channel per se that I would be doing some space games as well, but that hasn't quite come into being yet. All right, there's our Lake Champlain. Let's bring ourselves a bit lower here. So this is where Ticonderoga should be. Should just be south of 486 Airport. So we're going to be using the lake as a way of figuring that out. come on. Okay, good. There's the 46. Alright, so let's start to go in that direction. Getting a little bit more cloudy than I expected. Or wanted. But we'll see what happens. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is navigate so that Ticonderoga passes nicely on our right, or sometimes called our left. Okay. And so we just want to be on the west side, on the west bank of the lake. All right. So this is the south end of Lake Champlain here, if I remember correctly. It's funny. Well, actually, not funny. It makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. Any place I've flown to, you always see these patchwork fields by rivers, always. And when I say that, I haven't flown a lot of places at all. I've really stuck to New England at this point, being realistic, quote unquote, realistic about it. But I specifically remember this exact patchwork of fields by the Nile, for example. So it's just everywhere. Everywhere there's water. All right. See where we're going. There's 46. This is where Fort Ticonderoga is going to be. So there we go. By the way, this is dirt on our window shield, not anything flying by the lake. Let's take a look at our and yeah, so this is now 4 miles from here to here. And there's our airport right here. Just seeing the the lights, the runway lights. That's not the airport we're landing at. That's the airport that I'm using as a guidepost to Ticonderoga. There we go. And like I said, they can just be a single strip of asphalt. Now, the question is, have they rendered Ticonderoga? Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't. Ah, and there it is. There's Ticonderoga. There's the fort. All right. All right, with that, I want to start maneuvering ourselves down this lake. And in maneuvering ourselves down that lake, yeah, we're gonna get nicely low on that lake. There we go. So we'll come down to 2,500. We're going to lose about 1,000 feet here. What I'm looking to do is really fly close so that we're going to be going over the lake and we're going to be within the hills on either side. So we're going to be slaloming down this lake. 2,800 hours, Cara? That's terrifying. Alright, that's pretty nice. So that's 2,500 feet right there. Yes, Subnautica can be so tense because all of a sudden you're nicely going around and there's this huge fish that's trying to eat you. Now people just coming into the stream are going to wonder what the heck I'm talking about. Yeah, hills are nice. Oh, now what is that? Oh, Bolton Landing. Oh, and you can just see a windmill right here. Okay, we are within the airspace of Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport right now. See if we can start to see it. Yeah, there it is right here. Alright. Now this is going to be a visual landing, of course. Floyd Bennett doesn't have anything. We're on VFR rules, but Floyd Bennett I don't think has anything approximating an ILS landing side. There we go. And there we go. We want to head north of the runway. So we're in our final things here for this second leg of the trip. Oh yeah, you chat with him while I fly. Okay, good. Alright. And there's our airport. There it is. Floyd Bennett traffic, November 143, Charlie Alpha, on final to runway 19. Alright, we're gonna kill the autopilot here. There we go. kill our engine a bit. Let's get flaps going. And here we go. And full flaps. Flap, 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 flap. That's for you, Cara. Should not have been this high in the air. But looks like we're fine. Floyd Bennett Memorial traffic, November 143 Charlie Alpha, on final runway 19.
500.
There we go. And we're down. Floyd Bennett traffic, November 143 Charlie Alpha, landed runway 19. See where that's going to take me. There we go. No idea what taxiway this is. Floyd Memorial, November 143 Charlie Alpha, left runway 19, taxiing taxiway B. Alright, and we just pick anything here. Let's just move forward just a bit. Come on. There we go. Actually, I'll make it easier on myself. There we go. And there we are, nicely parked. And there's our parking brake. Everything off. Let's turn the fuel off. Yeah, it's going to start complaining, and there we go. Taking longer than normal. All right. There we go. And that stopped. There we go. And battery's down. So, welcome to Lake George. The end of our second leg. Thank you. Thank you, Cuzzy. Oh, this guy doesn't know where he's going. All right. Thank you for everyone stopping by. Kara, thank you so much. Cozy, thank you so much. Thank you for the moderation. Let's take a look at where we are externally. Wasn't a bad parking job either. Those are just various airport vehicles, Kara. So we have trucks, the whole bit, forklifts, depending on what's being loaded into various planes. There could be cargo planes in and around here. There we go. These, of course, are fuel tankers. Oh, not a bad little spot. All right, there we go, folks. Our third leg will take us across central New York. We'll make a touch and go landing. Well, touch and go not landing at what I will always consider Griffiths Air Force Base in Rome. The world now knows it as Griffiths International Airport. It really doesn't take much to be an international airport. You really have to say that. We'll go over Syracuse and then finally land in Tompkins County. That'll be our third leg. Won't be much. And then the fourth leg will take us from Tompkins County through to at least Niagara Falls, and we'll see where we go from there. I don't have a significant plan past that. We'll certainly develop it as time goes on. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate it. And talk to you all soon.